I'm going to talk about how online safety matters. And I'm going to start with a before picture. So this is a photograph from Limerick bus and train station. I think going on the reg on the cars, it was taken in the early 2000s. But it totally encapsulates what I remember from the 1990s. So I used to frequent this place quite a lot as a teenager. And it's exactly as I remember it: dull, dreary, dense. There was cars flying in and out, buses flying in and out, and dodgy as hell. Now, Limerick is an amazing place. I know some of you have visited it. It's full of fun, friendly, and cranky people, but it's great. But back in the 90s, it was known as Stab City for various different reasons, mainly gang wars. But this spot in particular, you had to watch your back in and really read your environment. So as a teenager, I was reading my space, reading the people moving in the space. You really had to have your wits about you. The after picture is voila. So roll on about 25, I haven't quite worked it out yet, 25, 30 years, and I had the opportunity to return to the Limerick bus and train station. My mother and daughter were coming down on the train from Dublin. So myself and my sister hopped in the car to go in and pick them up. So we rocked up, parked, and I was flabbergasted in a really good way. The space was now open. It was really inviting. It was a sunny day, so it wasn't dull. It was nice and bright. And I was feeling quite relaxed, actually, until my sister jumped out of the car and shouted back to me, "Fiona, lock the doors and roll up the windows." So a little bit perplexed, I sat there and I started to look at my environment. And I started to look around the surrounding areas. And some of those old signs were still there. You know, they weren't as direct or in my face as the 90s, but they were there. The unsavory characters in the park next door, you know, the broken glass, the graffiti on the walls. And it got me thinking about the online space. So I am a human-computer interaction designer, and I am interested in the design of user interfaces. And in particular, I'm interested in the design of online spaces for human well-being. I'm interested in how we can design these so that all of us can keep safe online. This Limerick bus and train station online, it looks good. Got white background, it's clear, it's organized, well structured. It looks very professional. The colors are good. The green is quite calming. The orange is, dynamic. I feel quite trusting of it. Actually, I feel quite secure here. I almost feel too secure. And I think that's the issue nowadays. When we all go online, we are too secure. We're not questioning enough. We're not putting on that layer of caution that we do in the real spaces. So I've spent many years looking at web design and development. And it was only last year when I had that light bulb moment. Well, what about the surrounding space? Like sitting in that car looking around that railway station. What about the surrounding space? When you take the web content out, what have you got? What is that? Do we even notice it? That is a browser application. It's probably one of the most widely used applications in the world. But it's also been described as one of the most invisible. You know, there's a fluttering of functionalities up there. I don't know what half of them mean. I don't use half of them. I will never use half of them. There's a few on the other side that we can't see. Like the back button, I use quite a lot, the refresh button. But there's a lot there that I know nothing about. Now, I was lucky last year to do a study, and I was very interested, which you can see there is the padlock icon. Now, that is the only thing I can really see in this space that might be associated with security or safety. For me, a padlock, I remember my precious little diary as a youngster with the tiny padlock to keep my siblings out of my innermost secrets, or my padlock on my bicycle when I ride into school, tie it up with a chain to keep the bike safe. So I have associations with the padlock, but I was interested to know what everybody else thought about that padlock. So we tested over 500 people. And believe it or not, there was a good few that didn't even notice the padlock. And those that did, the majority of them thought it meant that everything on the page was safe. Everything that they saw on that page, we'll go back to the page, was safe. Now the padlock does have a very precise function, and it is not that. And I won't go into too much detail on what the padlock represents, but ultimately it is the communications channel between you on your machine, on your browser, viewing your website, and the website on the server. So it is the channel that's safe. It doesn't mean that the page is safe. And just to round this off, I am interested in inclusive design and how we could design or redesign this so that everybody has the same, accurate message coming through. And my final slide is me, because to is me out in the community, which I am doing quite a lot of. I was there, and sorry, I missed some of the talks this morning. Out in the community, looking at how we can build awareness, but also more importantly, looking at how we can build diversity. In computing, in the world of tech, it is still imbalanced. We don't have any diversity, and we won't have a hope in designing inclusive interfaces that will ensure safety for everybody until we get diversity into our sector. So a lot of my work day to day, in parallel with my design work, is out in the community, is out in the community trying to plant the seeds and try to get that diversity through. Because ultimately, in the AI'd world that we live in, online safety matters and will continue to matter. So thank you very much.